So today we're going to be looking on how we can use the payroll feature. So as you can see, it gives us a little error, not error message, but it gives us a little message saying that you're opening up a QuickBooks file that is a sample file, okay? Meaning that they have used the Intuit's, they use the payroll system or the payroll process from Intuit. So this is us because it is a locked file or a portable file. This is us giving basically temporary access to see what it looks like when we're dealing with when we actually have the payroll option on. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and click OK to confirm. And then now it's opening up my sample file right now. Okay, so we'll give it a few seconds to pull up everything. Ignore that. Hopefully, okay, good. All right, let it load everything and let me close out a few things. So here, we're back at our home page. Things that's just saying it's just a few things that are introduced. But as you can see, now we have the payroll on. We get a little option here called a payroll center. So again, when we looked at our employees, right? Now we have it looks a little different. If you guys remember from back then, it allowed us to keep track of time, keep track of our employees, and keep track of this. Now that we turned on our payroll and we paid the subscription, now the bottom portion is going to be it will look a little different. Here we have a payroll center. Here you could choose to pay your employees, or you could pay your liabilities, or you can process the payroll forms. Now in this case, if I go to my employee center, you're gonna notice that there's not much difference, but I do want I want you to recognize is here is your employee center, right? You got my two employees. You have Mike Mazowski and I have Katie Reynolds, right? I have their information, and if I pull them up, there's a whole bunch of paychecks that I've paid them already. Okay, so this is what I mean by when you actually have the payroll set up already for you, you can see that, yes, I've written a check to these people to pay them. Okay, at the very top, what you're going to notice is you have 3 tabs instead of when we didn't have our payroll, we only had 2. We only had our transactions and our employees. This time, we're introduced to the payroll center. So by me clicking the payroll center, what you're going to notice, it looks like this. So what it's going to pop up is you're going to get a list of all the transactions that you have done. So things that you paid, or maybe that you've completed, right? At the top here gives you basically anything that you need when it comes to owing things. So for example, we have payroll that's due tomorrow, all right? And then here it gives us a little calendar of what is due, what is there. And in this case, this is back in 2019, okay? So they're giving us a sample file for 2019. So, because that's when they have the payroll process. So in this case, you have a little more different things that are introduced into the employee center. You're introduced to the payroll center, gives you a little calendar. It also gives you kind of an idea of what is due as far as this. In this case, we only have our employees to pay, okay? And you can, because we're in, okay, so up here, they also give you sub tabs up here too. So in this case, for just our employees, we only have to pay my employees on the 16th because they're on a semi-monthly paycheck. So that means they get paid every 16th and every 30th of the month. If I hit my payroll liabilities, I have 3 things that are due. I have to pay for my FICA, and I have to pay for my California withholdings. Okay? And if I go to forms, this is just for you to collect your forms. It doesn't really have anything there. So I'm going to go ahead and just exit out of this. So that's just your forms that you have to submit you're dealing with filing. So your W-4s go here. For your employees, you need to put your W-2s in here, right? And then for us, we need to file our own 940 and 941, and also our own W-2s in here as well. Okay, so any form that you need that's necessary, that's in regards to anything that's dealing with payroll or federal anything, that's where you file your forms here. So QuickBooks kind of keeps it intact for you all in one place. But in this case, we're only going to be focusing on primarily our employees and primarily our liabilities. Okay. So in your book, it says, let's go ahead and read our book here. So in your book, it talks about how to process your payroll checklist. So this is very important that you should recognize. So this is on page 322. These are generally the steps that you do need to take before even processing your payroll. So in this case, so every payday, right, you need to make sure that you review the previous payroll activities, meaning if there's any adjustments for the employees, what has happened in your employee center. Like, you want to make sure that you check on that. All right, you need to verify that your tax tables are correct, and we'll talk about that in a second. All right. Third thing is you need to make sure that you correct, review, and create necessary if you have any paychecks that you need to create, do them now. And then lastly, make sure that you print your paychecks and pay and all including with the pay stubs, right? If it's necessary. Okay. And then the next category here is every tax day, every tax deposit, right? When you do have your taxes, do make sure, well, obviously this is irrelevant, but also make sure, number one, that you have enough money to pay. There's a lot of companies that chooses their primary business expenses over paying their liabilities that they owe to the federal government. Now, you can get away with that, but you will definitely get 100% charge for paying late, because this is the government you're dealing with. These are the people that's letting you do business. But oftentimes, maybe the turnaround over from sales to purchasing inventory, it's not quick enough, right? Or the things that you need to pay, you have to pay your prior obligations first before you can even pay your liabilities. So that's definitely key right there. But other things is you want to make sure that you create, review, and correct any necessary liability payments. So again, just because we looked at the options on the payroll center, you want to make sure that you do check that often, just to make sure that you set aside the money to pay off those liabilities. Okay. And you also want to make sure that you also print your liability payment stubs or checks, just to keep track of it. Okay. And then last, so we have section number 3 here, every quarter. So you do want to also do the same thing, verify and make sure that you have everything good for all your payroll transactions, for because it depends, like maybe every quarterly you may get audited. I know for sure every year you will get audited, in case, just to make sure that you follow the rules and make sure that all your paychecks and your pay stubs are perfectly fine. Other things that you also want to create payroll reports for the previous quarter. Okay, so you can compare and contrast, right? And then lastly, make sure that you create your payroll tax returns form. So again, that is definitely going to be when you're filing for your taxes. And then the last section here is every January, make sure that you verify the accuracy of all payroll transactions. So making sure that each person, right, when they get paid, you want to make sure that they do actually, cash out their checks. So you want to make sure that you keep track of that as well. Create any payroll reports for the previous quarter and or year. And then, yes, make sure that you file your 490 and 491 forms to those governments. So these are things that you just need to be aware of, especially if you're the person that's in charge of paying the employees, right? These are very, very crucial things because you definitely don't want to miss out on any of these steps because it will, the government will definitely penalize you for every mistake that you do when it comes to dealing with payroll. Okay? So the next thing is we're going to be using the Employee Center, which we got to also look at the Payroll Center. So we're done with that. So now we're going to be talking about tax tables. Now, from our previous class, we got to actually look at our tax tables, right? You know what they're called?
I don't remember what was at the top there. Payroll tax tables?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Wait, this is like it's chapter, I think it's chapter 12, payroll. Yes, it is. So, what is these tax tables that you guys that we're referring to? Hello? You guys okay? You guys there? Focused?
What I don't what am I hearing?
Yeah, I don't know either.
Mr. Sanchez, make sure you mute yourself so we don't hear your personal conversations. Oh, actually, no, I can't mute. I can't mute him on my end. Okay. So, when we're looking at our tax tables, what are we referring to?
The different tax brackets for for the state tax, federal taxes, for withholdings.
Withholdings. Okay, you're getting closer. What is that? What do we use that for?
We use that to determine what we're going to, what taxes we take out for our employees
From
from their paycheck.
from their paycheck, so their income. Yes. So yes, and we call that the circular E tax tables. So yes.
I knew it was something like that, but I couldn't remember just what it was called.
Okay. Now this, yes, it's definitely you have to keep making sure that these tables are accurate. So here's an example right here of a tax table, right? And this is for bi-weekly payroll, okay, whether you're married or whether you file a single, right? This is a perfect example of it right here. This is the 2021. Okay, so every year the tax tables are different, okay? And this is this year's. Okay, so it's broken down by how much money you make overall. Now, depending on which form you're going to be using, right? Are you going to use the 2019 W4 form or are you going to use the 2020 W4 form? Remember, those are two completely different forms. And depending on which one you actually choose, right? In this case, I have chosen my 2019 W4 form. So in this case, this is the one that we did for class, right? We're doing the bracket, the percentage method. And in this case here, we're looking at every person's paycheck based on how much they earned for that pay period. For the new form, right, for the 2020, we're looking at an overall annual cost. So that's the difference between them. But anyways, let's just recognize that this is the tax table that you're making sure that you are following. Okay? All right. So again, these are the percentages. So here, for example, right, you got 10%, 12%, 22, and 24. And then lastly, 35. Well, there's 28 and then 35. Okay, so for instance, those kind of things right there are going to be the percentage brackets that you're looking for. And this is the tax table. Okay, so it's called a circular E. Now, that is number one thing that you do need to make sure that your QuickBooks recognizes that you have those kinds, that tax table in there, right? To make sure that when you're calculating your employees' taxes, that it's coming directly from that tax table. Now, in this case, we're at the end of 2019. And if you guys are aware of how the government actually switches the percentages and whatnot, it happens every November.
Oh, okay. They switch the percentages every November?
Yeah, because that's also what happens when that happens. Usually you have a new president.
Right, right.
That is usually when people are wrapping up the next year. So they release these percentages in November to set for the following year. So for January of 2020, right? So you do have flexibility there to have to check, especially during the ending months. So for November and December, because you can apply the new tax rate for November and December. Okay, that is legal. Yes, you can. Okay, but that's also one of the things that you want to make sure that you have your tax tables and that they're correct. Okay. All right. So the next thing that we're going to be looking at is going to be how to pay our employees. All right. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward, and this is what we're going to be doing. So let's go ahead and take a look. Now, there are a total of 3 ways you can pay your employees. So I'm going to exit out of my employee center. And there is, I exited my homepage as well. Homepage. So there are 3 ways that you can pay your employees, and what are they?
Okay. I read that.
There are 3 ways you can pay your employee.
Yes. And I just read that about 2 hours ago. Let's see.
Let's start with the most easiest and easy to spot one first. Lee, you want to help her out there?
Well, I'm not sure where the question is going, specific. I'm not sure exactly what you're asking.
I'm asking you how to pay your employees. What are the ways that you can pay your employees?
You mean by their periods or by like paper check or by
How do you just pay your employees?
what's that?
How do you just pay your employees?
Well, by writing a check.
Okay, I see where the question is. In QuickBooks, how do you enter in how to pay your employees?
Oh,
Okay. See, that's you go to the payroll center.
The payroll center, yes.
right.
Okay, I mean, see, I wasn't sure. Well, I know Katie is on like bi-monthly, and I mean, I'm in the wrong train of thought.
Yes, okay. I got it. I had to ask the question for me to realize how you can misconstrue that. So yes, so how do you in QuickBooks, how do you record to pay your employee?
Okay, well,
So you got the first one. Okay, good.
go ahead.
Yeah, no, you go
You
ahead.
got it. Well, no, go ahead. You got it.
Well, now that we got the question, you
Yeah. Oh, then, well, then
I
go to
said the first
yeah.
one. You can say the second one, and I'll.
Yeah, okay, the Employee Center open, to the pay tab.
That is the first one.
Oh, okay.
Because if you go to the employee center, right, and you go to the payroll tab, that's essentially your payroll center.
Oh, okay.
And then there you go. You can pay your employees there. That's the first one.
Okay, so then we can go from the menu bar.
Menu bar under employees.
Right.
Pay employees.
Pay employees. Good. Good. And then what is the first? What's the most obvious one?
Over on the
Well, we said the homepage.
No, we did not say the
Oh, we
homepage.
didn't say the, oh, yeah, on the homepage, the Payroll Center. You can click the Payroll Center on the homepage.
Okay, not the payroll center on the homepage.
Oh, well, that's what I was saying. On the homepage, you could do it. I didn't remember.
Yeah.
If you'd say, yeah, you did say homepage. I'm sorry.
On the homepage,
Yeah, you did say that.
there's a big, huge button that says right here, pay employees.
Right.
Yes. All right. Andrea, you said to go here onto the payroll center,
Right.
not here.
Right.
Okay.
Pay employees, right.
So yeah, you can just pay your employees.
So that was the first one. The second one was from the menu bar for employees.
Uh-huh.
And it can't be just write checks.
Oh, no. Okay, so the first one that you said was the payroll center.
Right.
Okay, that's your first one. Second one is your employees menu bar.
Oh, right.
Third one is the homepage. Because the homepage, it says right here in the icon, it literally says pay employees.
Right.
That's the third one.
Oh, okay.
Oh, you know what? I was
Oh,
thinking.
yeah. I was thinking of the same thing.
Yeah, I thought it was connected to the
Yeah.
payroll center.
Yeah, I did too.
No. This is just going, this is just literally the workflow right here. We're going to pay my employees right here on the homepage. That's one way. Second way is this way. Third way is, yes, getting to the payroll center. So if I click the payroll center, here it is. And I can click pay employees, and I would click pay employees or schedule to pay my employees. All right? Those are 3 ways you can do it. Yes, ma'am. And you know what? I'm going to be actually legitimate with you. You can pay your employees through the write-a checks. But however, it's not going to go through the payroll process. So in order for you to actually for sure create the expense, you need to go through the payroll center. All right, but yes, in matter of fact, yes, you can write a check, but you're not going to know how much you're going to write a check for, because you need to know all the calculations exactly. Okay, so here we're at the payroll center. We're under the pay employees. Okay, so we can select this one, and we're going to go ahead and start schedule payroll. Okay, so the bottom button right there, and then a second window should pop up. Now it's going to give you a list of your employees that you need to pay for. So in this case, we want to make sure 3 things. Is this the correct pay period? Is this the date that you want to put on the check? And in this case, check date. I'm going to make it available for Friday, but I'm doing it on the day before. So I'm going to make sure that that the check is available on the 16th, but I'm processing my payroll on the 15th. Okay, so that's check thing right here. Third thing you want to make sure is, where are you paying your employees from? General rule of thumb, you definitely want to pay it through your paycheck from your checking account. You definitely don't want to have a side account just for employees, because then that's going to make your your auditors kind of question where this extra money's coming from. All right, and then here it just gives you a list of, well, how many employees are you planning to choose to pay, and we're going to pay both of them. Since I'm going to say that Katie gets paid today because it's the 16th, but I'm going to say it just so happens that Mike is on biweekly and his paycheck will fall on the same day as the 16th, which is, rare, but it just we'll just call it to that this was coincidence and that they both ended up being on the same payroll. So we're going to pay both of them. All right. So here you could choose to either pay them or not. So this is where you can actually check out their pay period. If it's not their time to be paid yet, you don't need to pay them right away. Maybe because maybe this week isn't going to be the end of the period. So if you don't want to pay Mike right now, you can choose that because he's on a bi-weekly. Where Katie, you have to pay because it's already the 15th. You have to pay her. But in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just validate both of them. Okay. Once you do that, you're going to go ahead and click continue, and then another window should pop up from there. I'm going to say that again. You're going to click. Okay. Okay. Well, okay. So anyways, okay. So here, this page, it kind of allows you to look at it this way, right? So it gives you the total amount of how much your paycheck is going to be taken out of. So here it's already calculated for you that the gross pay for Katie is $2,500, right? She's salary, but she's going to get paid every twice a month. Where Mr. Mike over here is going to be paid $19.20 due to that's what he earned through the week. So his pay rate is pretty good because he's getting this much money for working for 2 weeks. Okay, so here it gives you a list of all the taxes that they have calculated. So this is going to be from their federal tax withholdings. Okay. Actually, that's going to be all of their taxes, actually. So federal tax withholdings, their FICA, everything that is included for their taxes, right? And here is deduction, so things that they could be deducted for. So this is the total of it here. And then here's their net pay. So this is the total amount that's going to be written on the actual check, right? And here's the employee taxes and yes, so on and so forth, right? Typical things that you would see on there. Now you want to make sure. So let's go ahead and double click it, and it should take you to their actual thing. So here it is, all right? Looking at Katie Reynolds, all right? Now, this breaks down exactly what each employee is going to be going through, right? So here is their actual gross pay at the top. We already established that she's going to get paid $2,500 right here, all right? Now, if we go down here into our bottom left corner, we have here what the items that we offer to benefit this employee. So in this case, we do have a 401k plan, right? And we also got the matching, so how much we're going to match him, which is 2%. And we also have medical insurance. So we do provide medical insurance. So these are going to be taking out of her paycheck. Okay? So here already this is already going to be pre-calculated as 4%, 2%, and then $100 for medical insurance. Right there. And here's the total amount down here. Now, on the right side is going to be what she's subject due to all the taxes that she has to go through. Okay, so for her medical insurance, federal withholdings right here, her Social Security, her Medicare, her California withholdings, and her California disability. Okay, so this is all the federal taxes that must be taken out of her paycheck here. All right, so that's where we could go ahead and look at that. Now, you can't go in there and start deleting stuff, but you can change it if it doesn't match.
Oh, okay.
Okay, and then this pretty much gives you a tally of all the company's responsibility, right? We got to match the 401k. So this right here is the bottom left is basically everything that we need to pay. Okay, so our responsibilities, our liabilities. So in this case, we said that we're gonna match, Katie's 401k plan, and then by law, we are subject to have to, for the amount that your employee pitch-ins from their paycheck, you're responsible to pay it 100% match of exactly how much they contributed. So in this case, for their California tax withholdings or their Medicare. So their Medicare is $0. Okay, that's fine. But their federal withholdings, right? It's a total of 173. We don't match that. We only match Social Security and we match medical employees, right? So here we got 155 and 338 dollars, and here we have to match it 100% right here. Social Security is for 155 and Medicare is $38. So this is something that we're responsible for. Now, you can have federal unemployment, right? That's what we have to pay into. In this case, we're charged 0, and California, we're charged 0. Okay, and then that is how QuickBooks automatically calculates it for you. You don't have to lift a finger at all, because what it's doing is it's extracting all the information that is preset that's on irs.gov. They pull that piece of information and they pull it into here and they just calculate it for you. So at the end of the day, you know that after all of these taxes are taken out, the check amount is going to be for $1814.53. So she just paid pretty much almost $700 in taxes.
Wow.
Yeah. Believe it or not, that is true. Now, in case Katie did she and okay, so in the book it says that Katie also requested a vacation. So we have to compensate her for that, because we said that, you know what, we offer paid vacation, paid time off. We also offer to pay for sick time. We did a lot for this employee right here. So in this case, we're going to pay for her vacation time off. So in this case, let's go ahead and look in our book and see how much exactly is the amount of payment for Katie for her time off. So here's this example here, and let's see what happened here. So here for Katie, she has her paid salary time off for $85.23. Okay, so because she's getting so she took a vacation for 3 hours. All right, and so she's going to get paid $85.23. So that's going to deduct from her total amount of salaries. But at the end of the day, because she's salary, it doesn't matter whether she gets the time off or not. We're still going to pay her the same amount, which is for the $2,500. However, on her pay stub, it's going to reflect that she has paid vacation day off. So what is it for $85.23? So I'm going to go ahead and enter in the item here. So she got salary vacation. Okay, and here it splits it in half. And in this case, that's not what we want. We want to make sure it's $85.23. And by doing that, it's going to give you this error message that it's not going to match. And we're going to say, okay, that's fine. Now it automatically recount. Okay, hold on. All right, this is. So hours, what do we have for hours? I think, what does it say?
For the hours for the top is 85.
85 and 3. So let me change that first. So 85 hours, and then this is 3 hours to be
3 hour vacation?
this is paid vacation. So I have to enter the information right here. Even though we know she isn't based on an hourly rate, that's why I figured you could just change it here, instead of doing an hour, because hello, she's salary. We don't care how many hours she works, right? It doesn't matter how many hours she works. But in this case, that's how they want to measure it. So by me typing in 85 hours here and me typing 3 hours here, we can automatically get the correct calculations up here. All right? And then let me see what else is on that table that I need to enter in. Nothing else. Okay, so here I've adjusted her gross pay. All right, this is the amount that she earned, right? So she earned 85 hours of actual real time and 3 hours of paid vacation. It still ended up being 2,500. Everything else stays the same. So I'm gonna go ahead and click. Either I go ahead and click save and next. So if I go save and next, boom, here is Mike Mazowski's thing right here. Now, with him, we don't have very many flexibilities or things that we really truly offer, except for, okay, but in this case, we do offer a 401k plan, nice, and we do offer medical insurance. So, but the thing is, the only difference that he has here is that he is a full employee, and he can either have the full 80 hours or not. Okay, so he's getting paid $24 an hour. Must be nice to have $24 an hour. And he collected 80 hours, so here it gives us a grand total of $19.20. Now for his expenses, again, it's going to obviously be lower because he doesn't make that much money. So his expenses are a lot cheaper. And in here, our check amount's going to be for $11.37. So he too has to pay about roughly $800 to, yes. And then we can go ahead and click save and close. So now that we've entered in all that information, we know that we've modified Katie's gross earnings, right? But it doesn't affect the amount of total. But where we'll see that is when we print out the pay stubs, because ultimately that's going to give you a list of everything that you've earned for, right? Where Mike, he only did a full 80 hours straight. That's fine. We paid him 24 hours, $24 an hour. And it's going to list all of the federal taxes and California taxes. Well, not California, but federal withholding taxes that must be taken out of from each paycheck. It's going to be all in there in the description. And we have our grand totals of how much we're going to be writing each check for, right here. After I've completed that and I've made sure that all of my adjustments have been made, I can go ahead and click create paycheck. So you're going to get that beep of approval. And once you get that beep of approval, here you're going to actually start paying your paychecks. Okay, so you have 2 pending paychecks to pay. All right. And we can go ahead and move on to the next step of actually printing out the paychecks. Now you can either print the paychecks or you can print the pay stubs. It doesn't really matter. In this case, we want to print the checks. Okay, so here we're at this window right here where we're allowed to pay, to do our little pay stubs here. We're going to select who we're going to pay. So I'm going to pay both of them, right? The date is there. It's going to be available for the 16th. And here's their names. Here's the amounts that they owe, that they're due. And I'm going to go ahead and click OK. Just make sure the rest of the numbers are okay. First check number, okay. So that means that we're going to be writing checks to them. It's going to be for 6069. It's going to be the first paycheck. And you just want to make sure that you want to show for both paychecks or even direct deposit, right? So you can choose whether you could do both or you could do either or. In this case, I'm writing paychecks. I'm not doing direct deposits. Okay. And then I could go ahead and click OK. Or, yeah, OK. So here is going to be your check window. It's going to ask you, what kind of checks are you going to be printing? There are very many options that you can do. You can print it voucher style. Now, voucher style is recommended because it gives you, again, your pay stub is at the top. At the bottom gives you your paycheck. Now, if you're planning to save money, because those especially those kind of documents or those kind of types of paychecks, they're actually a lot more expensive because you're printing on that special paper, right? And you got to pay for the whole sheet. That allows you to have that little perforated section for you to rip your check out. That's expensive because you have to get the expensive paper for that. Now, what you can do is you could do standard, right? Where you physically go and print out your pay stubs on a regular form paper, and then you just include the paycheck as a separate piece of paper. So you can go to the bank and order this, or go use through Intuit and say, I want to print 3 paychecks on one sheet. So I can just rip them up, divide them out, and just print out my pay stubs for my employees. Yes, you can do that. And then the other one is wallet size. So if you ever seen those small paychecks that are they're called wallet size, where it's not like a half sheet of piece of paper. That's the standard size. The wallet size is the more compact, small looking paycheck. It's the one that actually looks like the one that you go to the bank for. It looks like the size of $1. That's the wallet size. But in this case, I'm going to make sure I have voucher because I want my employee to also have the chance to look at their pay stub and verify to me whether I need to make any modifications. And of course, you need to attach your signature. So I'm going to go ahead and go like this, and I'm going to click File. And I'm going to go find my signature. So in this case, it's an LVPTA, accounting, QuickBooks class, portable files, my class copy, and I have my signature right here. Right? Okay. So there's my signature right there. Okay, so you have a choice. You can either print the checks blank and you physically take a pen and write and scribble in your signature, or you can always have a pre-existing printable signature that you could just go ahead and plop it right onto the paycheck. Okay? Now in this case, because I don't want to actually print out this, I'm going to go ahead and click OK and print, but I'm obviously going to stop my printer. So I want to make sure that it's in order. So that's what collate means, that you're going to print them in the order that you have it. So Katie's check is going to come first, and then Mike's check is going to come out last. You don't have to use a company logo, especially because, hello, it's a paycheck. You don't print logos on your paychecks, but yes, we want to have a printed signature because I am not wanting to sign these, okay? All right, so I go ahead and click print. Now, once I do that, it's gonna ask me to save where I want to print it, so I'm just going to cancel that, and then it's gonna give me this error message. I said okay. So in this case, I really didn't print my, really didn't print my checks yet, just because I don't want to hook up my computer for that. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and click close. So now I have 2 pending paychecks to pay, and that's okay. We don't need to pay them just yet. But for my employees, so as you can see, I should have a pending paycheck for them. Right? So once we've gone through that, that's how you pay your employees. It's that quick and simple. You don't need to do any calculations. You don't need to slave away staring at your tax tables to try to figure this out. It is all done for you. Okay? So I'm going to talk about one more small thing. So printing your pay stubs. And then I'm going to take a quick break. Okay? So other things that you can do is, so after we've done our paychecks, let's say you need to print out your pay stubs. You are able to print your pay stubs at any given time. At any given time, right? You just go to File. You're going to go to Print Forms, and then you're going to go to Paychecks or Pay Stubs. So you can pay your paychecks if you haven't done so yet. So you can always pay it. You can always print them later, or you can print them as you go. So here, I want to print my pay stubs. And then it's going to ask you, well, which one do you want to print? So this is where you can talk to your employee, right? Let's say they need a copy of it, not the real one, and they don't have a copier at home. They said, I just want to print out a copy. So you can select who. So in this case, I'll select Katie. Maybe Katie needs it for some reason. All right, and I can go ahead and click print. All right, I can because all it is it's just going to be it's going to look like this. So here's the preview of her pay stub. So pretty much gives you an outline of everything that is included. So here's your gross pay, all the taxes that you took out, all the deductions that you took out, all of the federal taxes that you had to take out. So here's all the calculations here for you. And usually they'd say gross pay, then taxes, then net pay, and then your total check amount, right? So, and it also gives you your year to date, how many taxes you have collected from the day that you first worked there for that year, okay? And it also gives you your total amount right here. All right, so that's what a pay stub would look like if you just were to print it out without the paycheck, okay? Now, also two things too is there's never really a real occasion that you need to print out another paycheck. If your employee does say that they lost their paycheck or that they just can't find it, and we'll talk about that when we come back from the break. All right, so that's how you print out your pay stubs, and you can print them out at any given time. Okay, you don't need to wait till the end of a quarter. You don't need to wait till anything. You just, whenever the employee needs it, or maybe you need to keep it as a record for when you file your taxes, you can always make a copy. All right. So let's take a quick 20-minute break here. So I'm gonna